Coffee, check. Brewer systems, check. Brewing, check. Coffee served. Check. Brewing Better Days is more than a podcast. It's a movement. It's for the first responders, the veterans, healthcare professionals, and all of their families. This is Brewing Better Days. And now your host, Eric Hadley.
Don't forget that's a 32.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Brewing Better Days, the Coffee Shop Talk podcast. My name's Eric Hadley. I'm your host. And today I have an awesome guest with me, Austin Gibert with Freedom Outfitters.
There you go.
Awesome, man. How you doing today, bud?
Man, I'm doing great. Everything with this expo this past weekend for more went really well. So now we're just here to visit you guys, and I'd love to be on the podcast.
Dude, it's so awesome to have you out here today. I met Austin, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now? I think it's 3 years ago.
I think it was 3 years ago. So it was a little bit of time. Yeah.
And so Austin runs an awesome company. Austin, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in your company?
Yeah, so I own the company, Freedom Outfitters. We've been going for about 3 years. I actually just got a notification on my Facebook page today of 3 years ago, and it was a photo of my shop, my original shop, and it was bare walls. Yeah, it was really crazy. So now it's super full. So what we do is we do automotive lighting, and we have a whole lineup of our Freedom Retrofits line, and those we hand make American-made headlights for the overlanding market. We also have a solid lineup of our 3D printed items. So we do third brake lights, mirror light kits. We do a whole bunch, and we're excited to keep expanding our lineup. Something
that you said that I love is Made in America.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And I've seen, kind of watched from afar your progression, originally what you were doing, seeing some of the lights. I can tell you right now, if anybody's looking for a set of headlights, are you still focusing on just certain brands, or you?
I'm starting to open up to some custom orders, but you can't really find that on the website, so you'll just have to email us. But yeah, I'm starting to do some one-offs now that we're kind of getting more caught up.
I remember seeing some of the first lights with the background of the topography.
Oh, yeah.
And the different flashing styles and all that. And what was it, 2 years ago up at Core?
Yeah.
When you started up the truck in the middle of the night and seeing the lights, I just remember looking from the tent going, wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty epic, dude.
Yeah, back then, that's when I had I call it my flagship build that I did for the Tacoma. And it was a triple projector headlight build. And for the Tacoma, from the factory, there's only one projector. And other common retrofitters, they'll try to stick a second and one in there. But I stuck three in there.
That's crazy.
And it really was. I remember going out because we did some night runs at Core. And at that point in time, I didn't really have any other off-road lights except just my headlights. And I was fine. I was like, yeah, let me just turn on my headlights, and I wired them all up because they're all bi-LED projectors, and they throw out about 2,800 lux. So all three of them on were just absolutely insane. Yeah.
20 did a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I remember from the tent when you lit up and you backed up. It was just oh,
yeah.
Everything lit up. That's awesome, and I love the detail. I remember when I was walking around and I saw them in person, and you could, from afar, the lights looked amazing, right?
Yeah.
And it's as you got closer, something that spoke to the engineer in me was the articulate little details that were all built into everything. I loved it, man. Loved it.
Thank you.
So 3 years ago today, is that?
That's when I got that notification. Yeah, that's when I first completed the shop to what it is today. Because, well, let me kind of back it up to kind of when I started.
Awesome,
I guess I should do that. Yeah. So it was about 3.5 years ago when because I started this from basically nothing. Like
Right.
I had an FJ Cruiser, and at the time there was nothing on the market for aftermarket lightings. There was like a brand or two, but there was nothing solid.
Scrappy entrepreneur you.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and then I went on Amazon and I looked up like projectors. I was like, I'm gonna try to retrofit this, and I went on YouTube, tried to find some videos, and I kind of pieced it together. It was really quite a poor job for the first time that I did it because I didn't know what I was doing. But there were some cool lights, and I threw them on my FJ Cruiser, and I posted in a Facebook group. And I was like, yeah, I just built these lights for my FJ. And then everyone was like, oh, this is super cool. Like, I love these. And then over the course of time, like, because I was just, at the time, I was doing residential electrician work. That's kind of my background. I was doing residential electrical work for quite some time. And yeah, people were super interested, and then people started slowly messaging me over time to where it got about like it was 4 months in, and it was I remember this distinctively. It was 1 week where 2 guys messaged me and they're like, "Hey, like can you build lights for me?" And that's when like light bulb. I was like, you know what? There could be something to this. And so that's when I started getting a little bit more serious about it. I was like, okay, let me see like what is the best components that I can actually put in these lights.
Right.
So that's when I started getting bi-LED projectors for like the very first time.
Very cool.
And yeah, and then once I figured out like what I was going to do with the components, I was like, you know what, let me launch this. And I posted in a Facebook group, and I was like, hey, I'm doing a group buy. This is the first model of headlight that I'm going to do. My goal was to get like 20 orders over like just a week. Mm-hmm. Within a day, I had 28 orders, and I was like, all right, awesome. cool. All right, I just hit the ground running. And then between that and about 3 months later, like I was looking for a house to buy because I just quickly outgrew. I was still living with my parents. And yeah, so within 6 months from start to finish, like I had my own house, and I had the shop that I had to completely redo. And then it wasn't that long after that where I was like, all right, I'm doing this full time. So it was right away. It was just, I hit the ground running, and I haven't looked back since.
Dude, that is so awesome. 3.5 years. So the viewers don't know, we're actually here at Got Your Six Coffee headquarters, and since he showed up this afternoon, I was kind of telling some of my story and the trials and tribulations of an entrepreneur, and the scrapping to make things work and get everything figured out. So I definitely relate and know what it's like to go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about how you've already kind of outgrown your space, right?
Oh, yeah. At this point in time, so my shop, I have a relatively small shop, but that shop over time has just slowly like merged into my house now. So my basement is literally full of like stock inventory of taillights and blinkers. My living room, that's where I have like my 3D printing farm at the moment. And my guest bedroom is also full of headlights. Like, yeah, my entire space is just absolutely just full of the business. So like I definitely need to expand very, very soon.
That is so cool to hear. Yeah. And just sitting there thinking about all the stuff that I've had to go through. I know you've got a lot on your plate coming up, and all that kind of stuff. So you're 3.5 years. How old are you, man?
I'm 26.
26.
Yeah.
Dude, I would kill to be at 26 to be in that. You've got like the world is your oyster right now, dude, with everything that's going. That's awesome, dude. So what do you got planned with the business? Were you focusing on B2B, or are you doing more like custom, or just trying to stick with a certain brand of vehicle? Because I remember, was it like 2 years ago, you were talking about just streamlining and sticking with like Tacoma and doing that kind of stuff. Are you still in that same space, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I kind of, exactly what you said is I was looking to streamline, and because on our website before we would have like a bunch of drop down menus, and you could literally like custom build your light with like various amount of options. So since then, in order to like streamline production, we pretty much narrowed down our scope of the items that we have on our website to just a few models for each light, but each model that we do have is a 6 setup. And
right.
So in this past 6 months, that has been my main focus, is like just making a flagship product for each headlight that we produce. But yeah, that's been my past 6 months. So now going forward, yeah, we're looking to do more business to business, absolutely. And one of the things that I've been really aware of is there's a lot of gaps in the market, and we've been, over the past year and a half, we've been doing 3D printed manufacturing.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I heard you say 3D printing farms, so I was going to circle back on that.
Yeah, the 3D printing farm is actually really wild. Like so I started out with just doing like mirror lights for the FJ Cruiser, and I originally like outsourced that. And then it was about, a year and a half ago where I was like, let me try to like do this myself. And I ended up getting a really crappy printer, and I ran it for a while, and I was like, all right, cool. Like, let me try to do something like legit. And I ended up investing in like a really good printer. And I was right around this time where I wanted to take on a first large project for actually manufacturing. And that's when we made the Valkyrie third brake light for the FJ Cruiser.
Nice.
And that started out as just like a concept. It was just like, there's no third brake light on the market for this vehicle. So the first model that we did was honestly just god awful. Like it literally,
you gotta
just
start somewhere, right?
And it did. It fit in the car, so we got the template, we got everything right. But I looked at the model, and I was like, this looks not how I want. So it was one night, I was just mulling over it for like a few days, and then I remember distinctly, I went to bed, and I had a dream. And in that dream, like I saw the vision of like how the third brake light needed to be.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and it was just as clear as day. And I was like, this is how it needs to be. And I grabbed a pen and piece of paper, and I drew it out, and we went from there. And that's literally what the third brake light looks like today. It's kind of scary that it really transformed from my dream to a reality. And yeah, so then once we got that design, then it was all about, okay, how am I actually going to produce this at a high grade quality?
Yep.
Because people think of 3D printing, and they kind of think of like trinkets and stuff like that. But in order to do what I need to do, we had to be high grade material. Because the third brake light, it's going to be in the sun. There are going to be customers all over between Alaska
Arizona,
to Texas. Like, it had to endure like really extreme conditions. So one of the materials I ended up settling on is ASA carbon fiber.
Ooh, nice.
So in terms of actual like material, so there's ABS plastic, which is kind of known for outdoors, but it's still something that will be subject to like fade over time, especially like the color black. It will totally fade. So ASA is ultra UV resistant, and it's really meant for the climates. And how it was originally advertised, it was for like automotive, and I was like, this is exactly what I need to use in order to then also just like keep the rigidity of it. Like, I ended up doing the carbon fiber infused, so it's extra strong.
Man.
Like, yeah. And I remember like working on this filament, because this filament was like, it wasn't relatively new, but there was no information of like how to actually like print it off and like make it good. So I spent a good 4 months like tuning this filament to a perfect print. And I'm telling you, like, the print that we have now is like, if you got it off the shelf and you looked at it, you would not know it's 3D printed. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super proud of that. And so we're starting to try to do more items like that, where it's a little bit more niche, and just trailblaze doing that. I think that's really been the most successful thing that we've seen over the past year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So with everything, 3.5 years of business now.
Yeah.
Let's just say we're sitting in a coffee shop, and we've got the younger generation who's aspiring to go out and do something. What would be a piece of business advice that you would give that individual?
Yeah.
Or what would you go back and tell yourself, hey, make sure you do this or don't do that?
Yeah.
What would be a piece of advice that you'd pass on to somebody?
Start small, and really, I think success can also be blinding. in a way. Like you'll start something and it'll be going really good and you'll let it run away from you. Because I feel like that's kind of what happened to me. Like I grew extremely fast and a lot of it was just playing catch up. So my advice would be really just to take it small, make a plan, execute that plan, and live within the means of that plan. Doing that, like that would have saved me a lot of headache, because a lot of the time I was like just playing catch up and getting in survival mode of just making sure we were pumping stuff out. I think that bit of advice would honestly steer people a lot of away from huge mistakes.
I'll definitely echo that. That's something I've been pushing in some other content that I've been doing for social media. Was just one of my shortcomings when I started Got Your Six was I just went gonzo. I was like anything and everything and was doing a bunch of stuff, and it did not really sink into me that you can do one or two things at a high caliber, just amazing level, or you can do a bunch of small things and have it not be to the level that you want. And I think I fell prey to that. So to be able to focus on the small things and just grow small, understand that it's a process, right? It literally is the grind. You gotta slow and steady, and if you're not failing, you're not succeeding, right?
Yeah.
What would be the business side? It's all success. My personal thought process with that is there's way more failure than there is success, right?
There is, yeah.
What would be some of the stuff that you would talk about as far as the failures? How do you work through that? How do you deal with failure? What do you a lot of people personally think an entrepreneur, we're all kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
To sit here and think that we're going to go out and do this. But come on, I grew up in Texas, small town country boy, and I'm like a bulldog. I'm not going to quit, right?
Yeah.
I have something in my head, and you talked about that you had it in a dream. To me, that right there is kind of like a little God moment, right? To where you've got this vision. When you are dealing with all the trials and tribulations, what do you do to process that? How do you keep your head in the right spot to where you're able to function? Because I know a lot of people, they get hit in the gut and they're down and done and quit. What is it that keeps you going?
So I really had to learn how to do that. Because, being an entrepreneur, it's go, 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 go. And I got into a really unhealthy place where I was just like, that's all I would do. I would wake up, I would work, I would train, and then I would go to bed, and I would just do it every single day, just nonstop. And I got to the point where like I was about to burn out, and I was like, I can't do this. I need to change something. One thing that I really, it changed everything. And all I did was just set 2 hours aside in the morning for just me time. Like, it didn't matter if I woke up at 6 a.m. or if I woke up at 10. I was like, I am taking 2 hours to just breathe, honestly cook for myself, walk my dog, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and just really just take some time to just live life. And being an entrepreneur, you'll let that run away from you.
Yep.
Absolutely. And a lot of it has been self-reflection too. Like, I have a diary. I write stuff down.
Very cool.
I feel like that's really important too, just to just write down what you're going through. And I feel like that helps you not only navigate of where to move forward, but also to look back and see where you've been, how you've grown. Because a lot of the mistakes will happen, and if you don't like identify what those mistakes are, you'll either make the same
replicate
one.
it.
Yeah, you'll just make the same mistake. So it's really important, I think, to just have moments of reflection. And yeah, I think that's been what has been very helpful for me.
I kind of do something very similar where during that time I will focus, so it's been something that's really impacted me. It's been scientifically proven that you cannot you cannot be anxious or depressed if you're if you're in a state of gratitude, right? So taking that time in the morning to be able to focus on the things that you're thankful for, focus on, and I mean, let's be honest, you know just as well as I do, you could be getting the snot kicked out of you that day. You can still pause and list off 10, 20 things that you're thankful for, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've got a good friend of mine that he constantly says, just remember, a year ago, you'd kill to be where you're at today, right? And it's that growth, that development. If you're not thankful, you're going to focus on the wrong things, and it'll just tear you apart.
Yeah, so, yeah. In my diary.
Dear diary.
Yeah, dear diary.
Today was a good day. I had Fruit Loops for breakfast.
No, but in all seriousness, I have a couple of prompts that I like go off of depending on like what I'm doing that in that diary day. But I always have like, what am I grateful for? And I always try to fulfill that one, because like, even if you're getting the snot kicked out of you, if you're going really through it, like you can always find something to be grateful for. And I remember like really going through really brutal days, and you know, if I couldn't find something, I would just say like, I just made it through another day. And that is something I can be grateful for, because a lot of people, like every day, they don't make it through the day.
Right.
And at rock bottom, like I can always find something to be grateful for. And I feel like just identifying like that pattern of being grateful for something, like being able to identify it, it's honestly made me a lot happier, like just going out through the day to day. And I think just staying in that mindset, like, things will be busy, things will be hard, but no matter what, like you got to be just grateful for what you have, and tomorrow is a new day.
Absolutely.
And you got to make the best of the day you have.
Absolutely. So it was kind of funny. Earlier, we were kind of having a little geek out moment with Trello.
Yeah.
For me, one of the things that has truly helped me was, and I'm still in the process of dumbing things down, if you will, to imply that, or implement that KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, right? Trello for me has been awesome in that I've been able to data dump and capture something that if I can come back and reference later. I'm definitely going to have to pick your brain a little bit, because it seems like you're a lot more versed in Trello than I am.
Oh man, yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about I want to say 7 Trello boards for my team. The one that is used most often is my warehouse board. Okay. So I was able to link within my website. So every time an order comes in, it populates as a Trello card. So because my business, we're split up into like a few different departments.
Okay.
So let's say we get an order that comes in and it's just items that are on the shelf. So I'll have my warehouse team, they'll get that Trello card, they'll take it, they'll fulfill those items that's on that list. And then if it's a headlight order, then it goes to the Freedom Retrofits board. So then now in that board, we have a whole stage process from like start to finish of each stage that light goes through, and who the technician is, all the quality control that's done on it.
Yeah,
all the photos.
I'm already like envious.
All the photos that go with it.
Another one.
It's really crazy. And then when it's done going through like that whole manufacturing process, it kicks back over to the warehouse boards into outgoing shipments. So that's just like one piece that I have in like a very large scheme setup of Trello, but it was absolutely necessary to do that in what I need to do, because I actually had this last night where a customer was complaining about something that was going on in his lights. I was like, okay, I messaged my front of house. I was like, hey, there's this name. I need to know like who built this, what the process was of it, so I can review every single data point that was on there.
Right.
And it was cool, because I was like, all the work that I've done, like I can do that now, because before, like, we didn't really have a way to like track who built it, all the steps, the quality controls, all that stuff. So now like we're at the point where if we need to take a change, or if we need to change a method to something, we can pull up all the history and everything. And another cool thing is we have logs of manufacturing time. so we can see how long my technician spent on each light.
All right, so my question to you is, what's the hourly rate for as a consultant for you to come in that got your six
man.
now and get that part set up?
Dude, I would be happy to just show you some things.
Dude,
like
awesome.
I've got I'm pretty much of a Trello guru, I think, at this point. I love it. I even have, so like my diary I talked about, that's in Trello.
Right, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My Trello, I think I have like 18 boards.
Ooh, wow.
One of them is personal goals, which I'm big into. When I was growing up, it's crazy. This was even before vision boards were vision boards kind of thing. Like I was always cutting stuff out, putting it on a cardboard, hanging it up, and having something visual that I could aspire to. And so I basically built out my own little vision board on Trello with all the different cards. And I've got the stuff that Jamie and I are working on. So it's the mutual Trello board, our aspirations. Like, Jamie and I, when we retire, we want to travel the U.S.
Yeah.
I've been to 59 different countries all over the world. Love traveling. I've been to 48 of the states. I have 2 states left. I want to go to Alaska and North Dakota. That being said, the states that I've been to, I truly haven't. I've done enough to say that I've been there.
Yeah.
But I want to experience, like, truly overland in that state. And do all that. So all these different things on the Trello board. I've got the sales board. I've got the production board. All the different stuff. So, and I know I'm not using it to any bit of what its true capabilities are.
Trello is powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how powerful like software tools are like that, especially like ones that you can create and you have the freedom to like, okay, let me get it up to how I want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
To that, when you think about it, something that really impacted me when I started Got Your Six, I didn't have the systems in place. I didn't have the equipment and all that stuff. Just having the system in place, like you were talking about, being able to reference the order and find out who did it and who built it out and what the specs were, and be able to track that data through the process. It's huge.
It's amazing for my customer service team as well, because I was actually able to link Gmail and Trello. So now they're both faces of it. So every Trello card, so every order, if a customer emails us, we can attach it to their Trello card too. So our techs can see anytime there's something going on. And then we have all of our labels that go on our Trello card, so we can see if there's a change order going on. We have ROCs, reason of contact. Then we have like a list of them. So like warranty requests, change order, shipping status, like all these things. And then at any point in the manufacturing process, like my tech team can see if there's any updates to anything. If it goes out to shipping and there was a change with the actual address, like all that's addressed in there too. It's a really fine, detailed process at this point. Yeah. And
you built all that, like you've implemented the automation.
Yeah.
So you've had to self-teach, or did you hire somebody to consult?
No, I self-taught myself how to do all of that. I mean, it's crazy to think that it is working so well now, because I really started with like a blank canvas,
right? And
I was just slowly over time trying to piece one thing together at a time, and it's really awesome now.
It's amazing at what we can do when we're stuck with a pain point and trying to fix that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I think just one more thing on it. The reason actually we have the ROCs is because we wanted to figure out like why our customers were contacting us. Because we can just say like, oh, we had a bunch of emails this month, like, what's going on. But now like every time we have someone email us, we categorize it as an ROC. And then at the end of the month, we can get a readout report and like, okay, this month out of all of these emails, this is how many we had in each category. And this is actually like the first month where we finally got the template up and running. So my customer service team at the beginning of this month, they did a screenshot, a template, grabbed it, and at the end of the month, they're going to run that report again so we can see all the increases in what it is. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Little things like that. It's data is everything.
Yep, absolutely. The engineer in me is very frustrated with myself because when I started Gotcha 6, I kind of stepped outside my norm where instead of putting processes and engineering things, I was dealing or operating more of like an emotional state.
Yeah.
And looking back, man, it's crazy. Fun fact, and I get to thank you for this one.
Okay.
I can remember I believe it was 2 years ago at Core. I'm set up and I'm sitting there. I had driven all day long. You know, for me, it's a 18-hour trip to get up there. Driving my rear on, getting up there, getting everything set up, and I'm just exhausted. It's already starting to get dark, and I am starving. We all know that in Core, there's not like a whole bunch of restaurants and whatnot. Yeah. And all of a sudden, this waft of just like amazing pizza starts coming in, and I'm just like, man, like how frustrating that was. I'm so hungry, and I'm sitting there smelling that, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, you come up, hey man, want a piece of pizza? It's like, yes. So first off, to ensure that I'm thankful for that, I want to make sure you understand how much I appreciated that night.
Oh yeah.
On the second side of that, I blame you because of that. My wish list this year from my parents was they were asking, what do you want for Christmas? And I said a pizza oven.
Yeah.
Well, guess what I got for Christmas?
Pizza oven.
A pizza oven. And every Friday night that I have Lucas here, it is now a tradition.
Wow.
That we make pizza from scratch, dough and everything, right? And so we've been doing that, and it was spring break, so 3-4 weeks ago now, 4 weeks, a month ago, Lucas and I went on a little adventure, 3-4 day, it was a 4-day trip, struggling to get to that point where I can have that freedom.
Yeah.
To just be able to take off and go where I want to go. But I told him I had committed to it, and I said, okay, here's the deal. You pick where we're going to go, and you pick what we're going to do. And on the flip side, I'm going to teach you how to pack up the truck, the trailer, how to get the water system prepped, how to cook, how to do it all. Captured all of it on video, right?
Oh, so sweet.
Super cool. One of the interesting things was, as we were talking about this, he's like, Dad, we're going to miss pizza night. And I'm like, well, no, we're not, son. Like,
yeah.
Electric pizza oven. And so out of the back of the truck, we've got the Redarc system.
Oh, yeah.
The 3,000 watt inverters, 600 amp hours, battery powered.
You got power.
Exactly. So fast forward, here we are in the middle of nowhere and set up with a full pizza oven, just killing it.
Oh, man.
And to that, as it's sinking in, that is actually what we were doing tonight.
Really?
Yeah, because we typically do that on Friday. Well, what were we doing on Friday? We had the More Expo, right? So because of Friday, we didn't get to do, and
pizza
so
night,
fast forward, we're doing that tonight. We're cheating a little bit tonight. Before you got here, I ran up to the local grocery store and I just had the pre-made pizza crust.
Yeah.
But tomorrow, our plan is once Lucas gets home from school, we're going to knock out some pizza dough. I found a new recipe. I was pretty happy with the recipe I had, but this one that I saw looked amazing. The difference with this one, the guy says you put the dough and then you let it sit for 3 days. So it's kind of fermenting for 3 days as it goes through. And so we're going to try that this week. We're going to prep that for the week. So, but next time we're out on the trail, pizza's on me.
All right.
We're doing a full custom pizza bar.
Yeah, no, I'm here for it. I feel like I'm kind of known for my pizza now because
Right?
Jason Fletcher did a whole video on us because we were at one of the events that Northology put on, and we went out and it was freezing cold, and we set up our fire pit and I was like, guys, I'm gonna make pizza. and I burned the first one. The second one that I brought, that one also burned, but the last one, oh man,
You hit the sweet spot.
it hit the sweet
Nice.
spot. It was delicious.
I know I'm a copycat, but I know I'm also not the only one. Jeremy was doing his own last year at Core.
Yeah.
He was making pizza.
Yeah.
So, yeah, super cool. I'm excited about tonight. Truly am. I love my pizza, obviously. So, what's the plan going forward?
For the company?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're all in the same industry where we all like to get out and we like to go out and live life and explore. I don't think you know, but I have a daughter on the way.
What?
Yeah, I have a daughter on the way.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, so she's gonna be.
Let it go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. It's such a change of life and perspective. But that's what I think, like, that's past 6 months. That's why I've been so extra, like, driven. Because, like, okay, I got a daughter on the way. And
Dude,
it's the coolest thing.
You are about to hit. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to get emotional just thinking about this.
Bombshell. Yeah. So moving forward, my goal is to scale the business enough to where I can honestly kind of just step back and just honestly just be with her, be her support. I want to show her the world. I want to get out and do stuff like that. So I know it's going to be a long road for sure, but I want to be able to create that freedom, not just for me, but like for her now.
Right.
I feel like that I would just love to like show her the world and do stuff with her and get out and do stuff like that. But
that is so cool, man.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the business goes, I kind of already said it. We're working on doing a lot more 3D printed manufacturing parts and stuff like that, and just growing the team and getting everyone set up, because now we're at a really good point where stuff is starting to transition in. Some of these huge, I don't want to say burdens, but tasks that I've had to do before and hats that I've had to wear before, they're starting to diminish. And I'm just hoping I can just continue doing that, keep growing my team, and then I would like to get to the point where I'm at like a maybe 4-hour workday. It would be great.
Yes.
It has to start somewhere. Right now I'm like 8-10 hour, but
with
slowly,
the right
hour by
systems
hour
in place,
yeah,
and the right people, all that stuff's possible. And it's funny. One of the guys earlier was making fun of us. Oh, they're like replicants of each other,
Yeah.
I'm in the same spot, man. I'm to that point where I keep telling Lucas I'm this close to getting to that point where I can breathe and have the freedom to, because, I mean, let's just be honest. At the end of the day, what's the importance, right? To me, the priorities are, God, my wife, my kids, and everything else. And to be able to have those moments where I can remember growing up, my father doing some stuff and just those quality memories. I want to take that and just pour fuel on the fire and do the same thing for Lucas.
Yeah.
Right? We did Overland Expo West 2 years ago. And it happened to be in a perfect time. I took Lucas with me. We had a blast. At the end of the day, Lucas was like, Dad, are we close to the Grand Canyon? I'm like, yeah. So we actually went to the Grand Canyon, and I'll have to show you the video. He was just jaw dropped, like shocked. He
just
sat
in awe.
there, in awe. Like he was literally crying, tears. And he's like, I'm like, what, bud? What's up? He's like, these are happy tears, Dad. And I was just like,
that's a moment.
Win.
That's a moment.
Win. And I wanna replicate that and just keep doing that, and love spending the time. So do that. It's so cool. Congratulations, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very cool. Do you have anything you want to tell the audience about your product, about information?
Yeah,
the floor
absolutely.
is yours right now. What do you want to talk about?
Well, definitely check us out on socials. I feel like we're doing a lot of innovative stuff. Even the past year, we're just continuing to innovate, and we're about to come out with a whole bunch of knowledge videos of how we do what we do, especially in the retrofitting department, because I feel like there's a huge gap between like the consumer and actually knowing like what goes on into like us actually building a light for our customers. And it's way more intense than people really realize.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So like even we've gotten to the point where we have some other companies like outsourcing stuff from us to put on their builds. So some of the new things that we've done over just like the past year is we're starting to manufacture our own brackets for our builds. And then brackets turned into, then we were starting to make our own bowls for our headlights. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So for the 80 series Land Cruiser, we just finished this up, and this is the one that we showed at the expo. We completely printed out the whole entire bowl. So it's a complete drop-in for our projectors and a Baja Design Squadron. Like it's really game changer, and it's just super exciting to see like the stuff that we're coming out with. You know, me and the team, we're just always hard at work and trying to make things easier and better, smoother, faster. Another cool thing for our headlights, we actually manufactured the first hard. It's not the first hard boot, but it's a hard boot that is specifically for us overlanders, off-roaders. So on the back of every headlight, there's where the headlight bulb gets inserted into.
Okay.
And for all of our lights, they're all bi-LED, so they're straight wire. And I actually had before I did this, I had a customer who was out in some sand dunes, and he was racing it for like multiple days. And he finished his trip, and then he contacted us. He was like, "Hey, like, I don't want to be bothered, but like, there's sand in my light." And I was like, "There's sand in your light? Like, what are you talking about?" So he sent it back to us, and I got the light back, and I looked at like the original boots that we're using on our lights, and I was like, okay, I got to do something different because I don't want this to happen again. You know, I don't think it was a necessary mistake, but it was just an oversight. And I was like, okay, how can we fix this? So our first version of the boots was it was a rubber boot, and we took a cable gland and we punched a hole in it, put a cable in it, and ran our wires through there. And then over the course of time, I was like, you know what, we can do a little bit better than this. So then we started 3D printing our boots. Yeah. So it's a hard boot now. It's completely rigid. And then we were able to add extra breather ports on the back of our lights too. So not only are they super sealed, they have breather ports where the air can regulate between the interior of the light and the exterior without actually allowing, penetration for like sand and dust and debris.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all of our lights that we've come out with for the past like 6 months, and every one that we have now, like they all have those boots on them, which honestly it's super killer because a lot of our guys that use our lights, they're going through water crossings,
right,
and they're beating up their trucks, and it keeps the seals of those lights really just perfect. And I'm super proud of that because it's all in those little details that people,
right?
Yeah, people don't really think about how much thought goes into the process, but I'm super proud of that. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So if somebody's trying to find you, what's your website address, and how do they find you on social?
Yeah, it's freedomoutfittersus.com, and you can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Same line, so Freedom Outfitters US. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Austin, it has been awesome to catch up with you.
Yeah.
I thank you so much for coming out to Got Your Six today. And
thanks for inviting me.
taking the time out of your schedule. I know you got your team out here and running ragged. They're probably going stir crazy out there, either high off of the smell of coffee or sleeping because we turn the lights
probably
off.
lining up beans on the table.
Super cool, man. Well, I'm stoked. So grateful for you coming out, man. Definitely need to figure out a time where we can catch up out and just go do some adventure out and unplug because, at the end of the day, like you were talking about before, as entrepreneurs, you do need to schedule that unplug time so that we don't burn out. And just want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Offer out my assistance. If there's anything I can ever do to help you out, dude, love to be of assistance. And again, man, thank you.
No, thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Awesome. Well, that wraps it up, folks. My name is Eric Cadley. I am the host of Brewing Better Days, the Coffee Shop Talk podcast. I hope you guys have a blessed day. Be safe. Love you. And we'll talk to you next time. Later.
You've been listening to Brewing Better Days. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on Instagram at Brewing Better Days and check the website at www.brewingbetterdays.com. Hey, life's hard, but it sure is easier with a nice cup of coffee. See you next time on Brewing Better Days.